Hello guys, welcome back to Balcony. Alright, so just so you guys know, if you put any other topics down in the comments or any other questions you have in the comments on YouTube, I'll be able to see them faster and I'll be able to address the questions a little quicker for you guys, rather than having to go through someone in your class who's on the Facebook. So there were a couple of things that were brought up. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is what a typical study day looked like for me. And I will say that this changed. It was really hard for me to be monotonous and do the same thing every single day. So I tried to change it up. So basically this is what the structure of my day looked like. I would do however many questions I needed to do per day to finish all of UWorld before exam day. Closer to the exam, that looked like more 80 to 100 questions per day. I attempted to go through multiple question banks from January on, so it was a little tight for me for doing UWorld questions. And so doing around 80 to 100 questions per day was difficult. I usually did them timed, and I tried to review them right away. That didn't always work. So sometimes I would do a 40 question block and review it right away and go in depth into the questions that I was studying. Some days I would do all 100 questions and then review. Some days I would do a block, review it, do another block, review it, and then do my in-depth analysis of those questions later on in that day through Boards and Beyond videos or opening up a textbook if I had to, whatever it was that I needed to do to get the job done. But it changed every day because I'll just, throw it out there. Some days I didn't want to do a whole lot of anything. It gets really difficult to be this focused this many days in a row. So don't feel discouraged if you have to change it up each day to make it a little different and to make it easier for you to get through what you need to get through. So again, about 100 questions of UWorld per day, reviewing those questions. I would do pretty much as many videos as I could squeeze into that day. What I recommend doing is taking all of the videos that you want to try to get done before you take STEP and divide that up among the number of days that you have left, right? So if you have 100 videos in 10 days, you would be doing 10 videos per day. And then on the days where you are just killing it and you are with it and you are focused, I would add some extra videos, even if you didn't have them assigned for that day, because in a day later on, you might not feel that energized, you might not have that kind of attention, and sometimes you just kind of need to take like a half day off because that's what you need to do to keep your brain functioning optimally. So keep that in mind. Let's see, how many practice exams? I did all of the practice exams. Every question I could get my hand on and practice exam I could get my hand on, I did. You guys are a little more limited because they retired some of the exams that weren't as applicable, so I would keep that in mind. Once I was in my dedicated study period, I was doing practice exams every 4 or 5 days. A little more spread out at the beginning and a little closer to each other the closer I got to the exam, because that is what I needed more of. So maybe I was doing it every week for like the first 2 weeks, then every 5 days, then every 4 days. I just dropped my pen, hold on. And so that changed throughout, but that's kind of how I used them, and I did as many as I could. For reasons I talk about in the practice exam video, which you can also watch on this same YouTube channel. I made that video for you guys to go a little bit more in depth of how to utilize those practice exams. Because they're not just a tool to see how well you're doing. They can help you in so many other ways if utilized properly. So that's in terms of how often I would do them, and in terms of what my day looked like each day. I do recommend having a plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So have a plan, have your STEP study schedule, do what I just said, divide all the questions by all the days so you know how many questions to do per day, how many videos you have, whether that's Sketchy, Pathoma, Boards and Beyond, and separate those per day, and make sure you're doing the topics that you have the most weaknesses in first. That is imperative because you might not get through all the videos. You might not get through all the topics. So you want to make sure that you are hitting the topics that you're performing poorly in. You get that information from your UWorld block questions. You can go to the analysis tab and you can see how are you doing in neuro, endo, repro, etc. And you can hit those sections first. And so that's pretty much what my day looked like. Don't be afraid to change it up. Don't be afraid to change it up if you feel it's not working for you. And also, I would wake up in the morning and have a list of all the things I had to get done. And I would start with whatever I wanted to start with. I think that's really important in preventing burnout when you're studying for STEP. If you wake up in the morning and you're like, man, I just really can't tackle questions right now, watch your videos first. Watch your designated videos that you're going to watch regardless. And go from there. You know, maybe you wake up and you are just ready. You are focused, you're attentive. Jump into your questions, okay? Do whatever you feel like you want to do first, because that will give you more mental energy at the end of the day, because you won't use up your mental energy forcing your brain into doing something that you don't want to be doing. So that's what I have in terms of those questions regarding a typical study day, changing that up, how often I do practice exams, how many questions I was doing per day. So let me know if you have any other questions about this topic, any other specific questions. I can go a little more in depth about what I was doing per day, and I can post maybe like a week's worth of my STEP study plan, but keep in mind that changed throughout my STEP studying based off of where my weaknesses were, where I needed to spend more time, and how much I was getting done per day and how productive I was being. So this was a very fluid plan, but I had a plan, and that's what I think is important. All right, so leave some comments below of other topics that you guys want to cover. It can be topics of, you know, just tips and tricks for studying for STEP, what my STEP study schedule looked like, or even if content related. If there's a topic that you guys are feeling like you're really struggling with and you want it broken down and you want some good mnemonics, like I'm willing to do that for you guys too. Whatever it is that you need, you let me know and we'll get it done.